Well, President Milei has a gift for me.
Javier Milei from Argentina. You guys know who that is, right? Why don't we bring him out?
Yeah. Thank you. This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw! That's perfect. All right.
I love it. Mr. President, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Viewer's Discretion. I am your host, Joe Nierman, aka Good Lawgic. Whew. So that was at CPAC. In case you missed it, Elon waving the chainsaw along as presented to him by President Javier Milei, based President Javier Milei. So tonight's show is about DEI. Is it dead? Is it dying? Will it go down without a fight? Will we ever see an end to this in our lifetimes? Or is this going to be the bane of our existence? Are we going to be dealing with this forever? Is this a continual fight? I don't know. I'm not going to kid you. It's not going to die easily, but I will tell you one thing that did die, and that's the readout. That's correct. Joy Reid. Poor Joy Reid. Poor Joy Reid. Oh, Joy Reid. Her show Joy Reid has been fired. The readout has been canceled from MSNBC, I guess. Spending an hour a day telling everyone how everyone but them is racist. It's kind of gets stale. Kind of, maybe a little bit stale. A little bit. In case you're unfamiliar with Joy Reid, she of the only homage she ever played to Donald Trump was in her hairstyle. And here she is doing what Joy Reid does, which is whine about how everyone else is a racist.
We begin our final sprint, having arrived at that point in the election season where basically we on this side of the TV screen have said all we can.
No.
We've laid out the stakes in this crucial election, where one side stands for freedom while the other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy.
Really, that's exactly what it is. It's exactly the same thing.
Also, white-ruled South Africa before Mandela and the black majority took control, or Vladimir Putin's Russia, Viktor Orban's Hungary, or Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela today.
Like how you compare those people as if they're like remotely the same from each other, much less comparable to Donald Trump, is just astonishing.
Day that suppresses the rights of women and minorities, uses the military to execute the whims of a strongman dictator, and controls and suppresses the press, education, the arts,
empty fluff.
Rewrites history to suit a favored and dominant racial class.
You're an empty vessel. You're a nothing. It's like you just... The script writes itself. It's so stupid.
Foments extravagant corruption in order,
barren of any thoughts,
in order to enrich the dictator and his friends.
Just barren of any thought. I think it'd be nice to celebrate the demise of Joy Reid's career, and appropriate, by reflecting back on where that turning point really started showing its head, and that it was November 5th, 2024. So if you will indulge me, let's turn the clock back. Turn the clock back to MSNBC awakening to a new dawn in American history. Awakening. Oh, this is worth a flashback.
Trump has now taken the lead in Bucks County.
NBC News now projects that in the battleground state of Georgia in the presidential race, Donald Trump has prevailed. The Republican Party will control the United States Senate. This is live from Howard University in Washington, D.C.
We still have votes to count. We still have states.
We still have votes to count. We still have states. We still... nobody lets me play with chainsaws either. They're chainsaws and me. No.
That have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted. Thank you all.
A short and to-the-point statement from Cedric Richmond, the Harris campaign co-chair. You now see them turn as one to start to leave the grounds.
The evening was getting increasingly somber as people realized what this map is looking like. They turned off the TV set and just piped up the music because the room was starting to get increasingly somber.
You don't. Why?
We always knew it was going to be down to the blue wall, and the blue wall is still uncalled at this point. But it sounds like the Harris campaign is sort of keeping things tight in terms of whether or not they're going to string people along into thinking this is going to happen.
What they went to that venue tonight hoping to see and witness was a historic election of Kamala Harris to the presidency. Was the end of the Trump era as they knew it. And
it's the end of the Trump era as they knew it. Oh, that's what some of these people were hoping for. That's for sure.
So we don't know the outcome yet, but that is not what they are receiving, and they are being told to go home and wait.
I want to just go back. Just look at these faces. Look at these faces. Look at Ari Melber. All of them look as if they ate bad eggs. Every one of them looks as if they just were like forced to eat, I don't know, like a 3-week-old egg. They're like, Harry Melber, Larry O'Donnell, Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes. Oh my God, the all-star cast, all of them eating bad eggs. It's so sad.
To go home and wait till tomorrow.
And nothing.
Give us your thoughts. Give us your thoughts, Joy. Give us your deep insights.
Was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now.
That's our takeaway. That's our takeaway. The flawless Kamala campaign. How did this woman lose her job? This is insight. This is sparkling intellect. The flawless campaign. Oh my God. It's like mushrooms sprouting from her head. That's how how wet her brain is. It's like a cluster of fungus that's just escaping from her scalp.
I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed.
This is an historic moment for a historic woman of historic skin color with historic gender identity and historic sexual identity. Historic. Hysteric. Oh my God.
She had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Swifties. She had the Beehive. You could not have run a better campaign.
This is what she considers a great campaign. That basically all the people who predictably would come out against Trump, if it was Charles Manson running for a Democrat, it could have been it could have been literally anyone running as a Democrat. Beehive and Swifties would have come out, and she's calling this like a flawless campaign. Doofus. God, how did she stay on the air for so many years?
Swifties, she had the Beehive. You could not have run a better campaign.
In Western Europe and in the UK and in the Middle East, people are waking up to this.
Oh, and they are.
I've gotten people from Western Europe who are...
This is one of the things that MSC brings to you is like how time zones work. when it's 11, 12 o'clock here on the East Coast, people are starting to wake up in the EU. No, it's true they are. No, it is. This is what we bring you. This is what we bring you.
Extraordinarily alarmed and terrified.
May I reiterate, there are 2 of the 7 swing states that have been called by NBC News right now, which is Georgia and North Carolina. None of the other 5 states have been called at this point. You can see this is the battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the so-called blue wall. None of those states called by NBC News. In the swing state of Pennsylvania, NBC News now projects that presidential contest has been won by Donald Trump. It presents an insurmountable future here for
so much for the blue wall.
Kamala Harris and for the Democratic ticket. Let's watch as Trump takes the stage.
I just gotta skip past this part because the music here is gonna just that they have playing in the background there is gonna get me dinged. So we'll just get past him talking for a moment, basically saying, "Wow, what a crazy night."
We've achieved the most incredible political.
See, this is they don't let me play that. It was crazy.
Boy, it's going to be a real tough speech for
her. You think? So there was Joy Reid celebrating November 5th. Oh God. So her is she going to be picked up by someone? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Who the heck knows? I'm not even going to try calling that. I'm not even going to try calling it. I can't tell. I don't know. Anything can happen. Her career may not be over. Breck Nichols saying, Joy Reid, Harris ran a flawless campaign. I do not think that word means what you think it means. That was such a terrible campaign. I hope they run her again in 2028. Oh my God, that'd be great. That'd be great. Run her again. Run her again. She got it this time. She got it. It's her time now. It's her time. Before we get into the DEI stuff, one of the most exciting things that I saw when I came out of Shabbos and I turned my phone on, one of the most exciting things that I stumbled on, was this announcement here. Elon Musk has said fellow employees to receive email asking what they accomplished last week. No response will be considered resignation. Adios, amigos. Bon voyage, Pierre. Yeah. So we had that. And here is what the email said. What did you do last week? Please reply to this email with approximately 5 bullets of what you accomplished last week and CC your manager. Please do not send any classified information, links, or attachments, as in this might be forwarded on to Elon. And yeah, we're not looking to have some sort of security clearance issue. We don't know who's going to end up seeing it, but just give us an overview of what you did. Some sort of overview. Deadline is this Monday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Just give us 5 bullets, what you accomplished this week. So that's what the email looks like. It doesn't seem like that challenging a thing to do, you would think. If it was me, I would be like, I produced a show on Monday, I produced a show on Tuesday, I produced a show on Wednesday, and another on Thursday, and then I did a locals. So see, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. You just sort of lay it out there. Now the left is going nuts from this. And Kash Patel, I haven't seen this, but one of my brothers-in-law mentioned this to me. Kash Patel said this is not going to apply to the FBI, nor should it apply to intelligence agencies. I would think that intelligence agencies should be an exception to this because the reality is intelligence agencies, they could be doing things. It's like I can understand giving an exception there. Okay. But other government agents, yeah, tell us what you're doing. Tell us what you're doing. Now, the left is trying to poke fun at it, likes of George Swalwell putting out his response are: number 1, fighting fascism; number 2, fighting fascism; and 3, fighting fascism. Yeah, that should be like basically a non-email. Someone says something like that. I don't think that qualifies, but that's the extent of the intellect of a Swalwell. Did I call him George? Did I call him George? It's not George. Eric Swalwell. God. Hard for me to remember his stupid name. So yeah, I thought that this was. Do you guys think that this is actually going to do anything, though? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if people who fail to respond actually get fired. I don't know. I was just I looked at this. What's her face? Where's that email? Where's that thing from? Here it was. Elizabeth Warren. This is her lame attempt at being clever. They're all just desperately trying to fight this. Is Donald Trump going to respond to Musk's email and report on what he did last week? To help, I've gone ahead and done it for him. A thread. Oh, a whole thread? A whole thread? 1, purge the military of experienced and qualified senior officers, putting our national security at risk. 2, promise to protect Medicaid, only to backtrack 24 hours later by endorsing the House Republican plan to cut health care to pay for tax cuts for the ultra-rich. She's also like a one-trick pony. 3, fire the experts working to end bird flu as egg prices go way up, now frantically trying to find and rehire them. 4, stop the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is her thing. She has been so all over this. This woman, I happen to have a particular angst, an axe to grind with Liz Warren. I have an axe to grind with this woman, because she basically makes our economy as difficult as possible to function. She's this very big consumer advocate. That's like her thing. That's what she tries making her little niche, is that she makes a big deal about consumer advocacy to the ultimate detriment of the United States and having an economy that has capacity to function. What do I mean by that? Well, she's a big advocate for the FDCPA, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and puts in such over-the-top protections that it's basically designed to punish anyone who's actually trying to do business in good faith. So, yeah, Liz Warren is a disaster. She really is. She's a relentless disaster. She is. She's one of those relentless disasters. You see, someone like AOC, what she'll do is she'll put out her stupid Green Deal and then forget about it 10 minutes later. She gets out her little green crayons and she's like, look, everything here is in green. So you know it's really good and it's healthy for the environment. And everyone sort of giggles. And her friends are like, wow, she's so woke. What a woke bae. And, they get all excited. But, then she'll forget about it 10 minutes later. There's no follow through. Now, Liz Warren is a relentless disaster. She's very adamant about implementing terrible policies. In that sense, she's actually far more dangerous. Put your grandmother's Social Security check in danger by forcing out the acting Social Security commissioner. This isn't just inefficient or hurt the people Donald Trump promised to help. Gunther England said, how are you a senator? You dumb. 7.4 thousand likes. I think Gunther has 2 posts that beat that. That's pretty good. Anyway, and look at Jenna Ellis trying to chime in here, trying to buy some MAGA love. Traitor. Awful person. So, yeah, there was that. there was that. Check out Elon's latest tweet about it. They're weeding out folks doing nothing, including reading email. I think that was the objective. Because really, if someone could put in like 5 stupid things, I mean, who's it going to? It's going to their supervisor. So this is the easiest email in the world to BS on if you wanted to. And frankly, with there being all the hullabaloo about this being in the news, you would think that, okay, so now they're going to check for that one email, right? So I don't think it's going to manage to even reduce 10% of the workforce, to be honest with you. I'm not even going to read that out loud. I ain't going to read that out loud. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Yeah. It's pretty clever. Not bad. I like it. But yeah, I'm not reading that out loud. Can we ask for a weekly memo brief from Congress senators? Yeah, but that's the thing, is these idiots will basically be like, I fought fascism, and then I fought fascism. It would be awesome, though. Because I think so many of them do absolutely nothing. Nothing. Anyway, moving along. Returning back to CPAC for a moment, Tom Homan stepped in the room, and this is the guy I think everyone wants to grab a beer with. Who would not want to spend like just 20 minutes chilling with a half hour, an hour, 2 hours chilling with this guy?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Look, let me start out by saying this. If I offend anybody today, I don't give a shit. Don't care. The media in the back room, I'm sure I'll be reading a lot of hit pieces on me tomorrow. I don't give a shit what you think about me. I get asked all the time, does it bother you? There's a big part of this country that hates your guts. I don't care. I don't care. Because we got a job to do. You know, I wake up every day for the last 4 years pissed off because the Biden administration took the most secure border of my lifetime and unsecured it on purpose, right? I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president I ever worked for took steps to secure the border. Even Clinton and Obama took steps to secure the border because they clearly understood you can't have national security without border security. They got it. Joe Biden's the first president in history of the nation who came into office and unsecured the border on purpose. So for 4 years, I wake up every day pissed off. That changed November 5th. Now I wake up every day excited because I work for the greatest president of my lifetime, Donald J. Trump.
That's our border czar. That is our border czar. And no, we don't officially have a label or a title of border czar, but we damn well should. We damn well should. But that wasn't all he had. He dropped a little bit more specifically on Boston.
I read a story last night, the police commissioner of Boston. You said you doubled down on not helping the law enforcement officers of ICE. I'm coming to Boston. I'm bringing hell with me.
They send one of ours to the hospital. We send one of theirs to the morgue.
I looked at the numbers this morning. I stopped counting at 9. 9 child rapists that were in jail in Massachusetts. But rather than honoring an ICE detainer, release them back into the street. You're not a police commissioner. Take that badge off your chest, put it in the desk drawer, because you became a politician. You forgot what it's like to be a cop.
Yeah.
I read a story last night, the police commissioner of Boston.
Yeah, so there you go. There you go. Woo. So that was Tom Homan at CPAC. But I promised you all I was going to cover we're going to focus somewhat on DEI tonight. DEI, and probably I assume that most of you have heard that Trump fired not one but 2 members of his Joint Chiefs of Staff, including the highest ranking general in the military, as well as the head of his Navy. Specifically, we'll start with CQ Brown. You might not have heard of CQ Brown, might not know very much about CQ Brown. You might not have much background on it. A lot of people on the left are really angry about it. Very angry about it. I think this is Mark Kelly from Arizona.
Overnight, Donald Trump fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the chief of naval operations, and it looks like more firings are coming. This is unprecedented, at least in my lifetime.
Not really unprecedented.
I can remember Commander-in-Chief.
It happened to McClellan.
Doing this for, who knows what his real reason is.
Oh, I think we know what his real reason is. Well, we're going to analyze his real reason
to do this. I think I have an idea. You probably do too. Yeah, I think it's up.
Yeah, you see, I'm trying to insinuate racism. I'm doing the whole Obama thing where I'm insinuating it's racism without actually using it. This way, no one can say that I use such a charged word. So I'm just going to insinuate that he was fired for racist reasons, and you probably do too. What do you think he's talking about?
Up to us veterans to stand up against the president, who is making some really bad decisions here. This is harmful to the military.
Oh, is it?
So if you're a member of the VFW or the American Legion, or you're a retired member of the military or a former military, please say something about this. It really makes a difference, and it matters. Overnight, Donald Trump fired.
As I said, I'm pretty sure it's Mark Kelly. You might not know much about CQ Brown and what he's done. Here's a little bit about CQ Brown. It's the real fly. Report: the first U.S. general of fire in American history advocated for racist policies against whites. This is a memo that CQ Brown sent out in August of 2022. Subject: officer source of commission applicant pool goals. Diversity and inclusion are an essential part of our society and key to the success of any organization. Why is that the key to success?
Begin our final sprint, having arrived at that point in the elections.
How is that key to success of any organization? As such, it is imperative that the composition of our military services better reflect our nation's highly talented, diverse, and eligible population. This memorandum updates Department of the Air Force officer applicant pool goals, broken down by race, ethnicity, and gender. Critically, it also continues our progress toward achieving a force more representative of our nation. What? Rather than the most effective at getting the job done, while leveraging that diversity to enhance the Air and Space Force's ability to deter and, if necessary, deny our nation's competitors. These goals are, what do they want? 43% white, 8.5% black, 6.5% Asian, 1% American Indian, 0.5% Native Hawaiian, and 9.5% Hispanic. That's amongst the males. That's amongst the males. Amongst the females, we gotta grab in every score we can. every squaw we can find. How many? Maybe I'm crazy. How many female Native American members of the military are there? Is there? Are they 1 in 200? Because I don't think so. My gut says no. That's just my gut. My gut says that they're not. That's just my gut. .5% Asian women. We gotta get all these Hawaiians in here. These goals are aspirational, allowing resources to invest in our long-term objectives and will not be used in any manner that undermines our merit-based processes. Not at all. No. You're directed to develop a diversity inclusion outreach plan aimed at achieving these goals no later than 30th of September 2022. In addition, you will report annually on your progress outlining those initiatives your organizations are undertaking to enhance officer applicant pool diversity and inclusion. As you see, this is the thing. As if they don't know, as if any of these minorities are, if they're too stupid to realize that they're already starting with a leg up by dint of being a minority, that you need to have some sort of outreach program to say, hey, we're probably going to hire you a little quicker. If they're too stupid to realize that, how intelligent can they be as far as accomplishing whatever tasks and objectives you set for them? Who the heck doesn't know this? This is something that's been going on for decades. And if they're too stupid to actually realize that that is the environment they've been living in, look, if they're in the military, likely, for the if not their entire lives, a considerable majority of their lives, and if they're too stupid to wake up and smell the coffee and recognize that, hey, there's probably a job out there for you if you're looking to become officer material and you happen to be a minority. If they need to have some sort of initiative to encourage them, some sort of outreach program saying, hey, you're probably officer material by dint of your DNA. If they're too stupid to realize that, I'm sorry, they are idiots. They are morons. And they should not be elevated anywhere, much less in overseeing people who, our military, our Navy, or any of the armed forces, and putting people's lives at risk and jeopardizing American objectives. I mean, this is just common sense. If they're lacking that level of common sense, I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. We need to have some. Maybe people don't know. Oh, wait. You mean if I'm a Pacific Islander, I have a better chance of becoming an officer? Oh, no one told me. I'm so glad we had this outreach initiative. What? Oh my God. Oh my God. Unbelievable. DEIs with a best. Okay. I think this is added to 107.5%. Do they really? Hold on a second. Now I'm curious. This is 13. This is 60. This is 67.5 plus 13 is 70. That's another 10% is 80, 81 and a half, 82 and a half. This is 7. This is 67 and a half. This is 13. So that's going to be 80.5. This is 10. That's going to be 90. Oh, you're right. You're right. There's 91 and a half, 92 and a half. That is so good. That is so good. That's so funny. Oh my God. Wow. So stupid. That's really funny. Dancing with rules reference to stance with a fist. Oh, okay. That went over my head. I missed that one. Hold on 1 second. Lady Lawgic just had a long drive. She got back. How are you? Okay, good. I'm glad you're home safe. Yeah, so this is CQ Brown. Charles Q. Brown. CQ Brown. Chief of Staff of the Air Force. General U.S. Air Force. 4-star General of the U.S. Air Force. Chief of Staff. So there you go. That's this guy right here. But wait, there's more. In case you thought this was just this one memo. No. This guy here was Mr. Woke himself. General C.Q. Brown, who was just fired by President Trump and Pete Hegseth, was the wokest Joint Chiefs chairman in American history. Repeatedly preached and practiced racial discrimination. Here's a thread of the damning evidence. On June 5th, 2020, General Brown said, quote, I'm thinking about how I can make improvements personally and professionally and institutionally so that all airmen, both today and tomorrow, appreciate the value of their diversity. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
I can't fix centuries of racism in our country, nor can I fix decades of discrimination that may have impacted members of our Air Force. I'm thinking about how I can make improvements personally, professionally, and institutionally so that all airmen, both today and tomorrow, appreciate the value of diversity. I can't.
So there you go. The value of diversity. Someone needs to walk me through the value of diversity. I need to understand what is exactly the value of diversity. Like, how is it that it's that we are a better fighting force if we have diversity? Do our enemies cower more in fear if they see, like, whoa, they brought the women now. They brought the whoa. Check out the Native Americans. Step back. We're in trouble now. It's not just the white people and the black people and the Hispanic people. No, they got the Hawaiians too. We're really in trouble. I don't understand. How is it a better fighting force? What is even the argument? It's like they're so desperate. You can make a claim and say, look, we think that we can handle it. It's not going to have a negative impact. But to say that that's an enhancement, that it's better, it's like, just stop it. Here's more of CQ Brown being very CQ Brownie.
General C.Q. Brown Jr. became Air Force Chief of Staff in 2020, and one of his priorities, diversifying the force. During last year's national disquiet following George Floyd's death, he called out the military for the racism he experienced.
I'm thinking about the pressure I felt to perform error-free, especially for supervisors I perceive had expected less from me as an African-American.
That's because of DEI, doofus.
Thinking about wearing the same flight suit with the same wings on my chest as my peers, and they being questioned by another military member, are you a pilot? I'm thinking about my mentors and how rarely I had a mentor that looked like me.
General C.Q. Brown Jr.
So there you go. It's DEI that leads people to question whether you're a pilot. To question your capabilities. Because if there was no DEI, then people are like, well, all right. We don't see perhaps as many black men as white men in the Air Force, but obviously he earned it. But once you have DEI, then people are like, I don't know if he earned it. Maybe he just got gifted it. It hurts the very people you're purporting to help. It makes them cheapened, lessers. So stupid. In that same PBS broadcast, John Brown stated that the beauty of George Floyd's death, wow. Okay, maybe phrasing on that. The beauty of it was that it forced the Air Force to take a hard look at ourselves and that the military needs. Here, let's listen to him.
White boys club.
Well, part of the solution is actually having the first slate of candidates. When you look at any one of our positions and we're doing interviews, is you want to have a diverse slate of candidates. And it does two things. It introduces you to somebody you may not already know. The second thing it does, it prepares that individual for future interviews.
You sense any resistance to that?
Yeah, because all white people know all white people. That's the way it is. All black people know all black people. Obviously, if you're a black person, you know all other black people, and you're clearly on the same page as they are because you have the same skin color. I understand. I totally get that. I find it impossible to relate to anyone who's Asian. It's impossible, but every white person I can very easily identify with because, we have the same skin color. So that's what makes it like, obviously, our shared and lived life experiences are pretty much identical. It's really, it's pretty much exactly the same thing. Nothing to do with your economic stratospheres. No. It's totally about how much melanin is in my skin. That's what enables me to identify with other people.
No. By and large, I think many of our airmen and our leaders and our senior leaders in particular, they get it. And I think it's in some cases, it may have been a blind spot for us where we weren't really paying attention to it. I think the beauty of, as tragic as George Floyd's death is and the other events that surround that, the fact we're taking a hard look at ourselves. And I think it's opened some eyes to some of our airmen who were just, they just weren't, they were unconscious to it.
The solution.
So that's CQ. That's CQ Brown there. Here he is weighing in with
not what we need in our military.
On recruitment, should recruit social media be looked at to find extremist tendencies?
My concern is that individuals will put things on social media that they would never say to your face. Okay. And that to me is an indicator. And that's why, being able to take a look at social media will also tell you a little bit about the character of the individual that you're bringing into our service, not what we need in our military.
On recruitment, should recruit.
So there you go. That's a way of weeding out people who basically disagree with us. In February 11, 2021, People magazine interview, he stated that we've got to closely manage our diverse populations to make sure their development and opportunities aren't happening by luck. He stated further that the Air Force needs to tweak the screening process so it's not so reliant upon a paper test when considering recruitment and promotion opportunities. What should it be? What should it be reliant on? An interview with the Washington Post, posted on YouTube on January 25th, 2021. He said we got to actually nudge and pull and actually purposely manage to ensure that we have diverse candidates for leadership positions.
Additional opportunities. That is something we've got to continue to work. We've got to actually nudge and pull and actually purposely manage to ensure that we have diverse candidates that can compete. And if they need some help in certain areas with coaching or additional training or additional opportunities, that is something we've got to continue to work on as well. We've got to actually nudge and pull. And
Defense One reported in 2022 that Brown leads a monthly inclusion council that's become a place to ask some really hard questions. Not only that, General Brown is proud that he capped credits for flight experience. Yak. And admissions for the express purpose of admitting more non-white pilots. Here he is, and here's another clip from General Brown.
All of us have to seek out those diverse candidates to bring them in. And that's what we're trying to do in the Air Force is you almost got to purposely manage some of this. You just can't let it if you do it by happenstance, we won't change. We got to be actually involved as a leader.
Why would you not? Why would you not? Why would you not? See, here's the thing. I don't feel remotely threatened by people of more melanin, less melanin than me. I don't by them getting jobs in a world that has zero DEI. I feel not at all threatened. I have no problem if there's, I think it probably would be a very positive thing, let's say, for example, for the Black community, for people to be promoting in their youth for black leaders we've been promoting in their youth that they try and recognize the possibility of what they can accomplish and let them grow and develop themselves into productive individuals. I think that would be a phenomenal blessing for themselves individually, most directly, and for society at large. No one cares if 100 years from now, no one cares what color skin someone has, unless you keep making it that's your defining characteristic.
From all backgrounds to ensure we have it. And it really makes for a better organization. I mean, I get so much out of I purposely build my office, my front office, my team with diverse. I hire for diversity. All of us have to seek out those diverse.
These are great reasons to fire this guy. Explicitly praising DEI. So stupid.
And one of the examples that or analogies that was shared with me that I think is actually makes it very simple to understand. And for diversity, inclusion, and equity, you really want to be invited and have the opportunity to participate. And for those who can go back to
you have the opportunity.
You went to the 8th grade dance. You want to be invited to the dance.
I'm assuming that this guy achieved most of his accomplishments without relying on DEI. How did you do it? How did you do it? I mean, you grew up in an era where there wasn't really. He seems older than me. You grew up in an era where there wasn't really DEI. Certainly wasn't as flourishing as vividly and as technicolor, as many technicolor, bright in your face type of technicolors that it has today. And you managed to do pretty well for yourself. And that would be a great thing. And you would still have your job if you weren't sitting there promoting DEI and basically implying that absent DEI, that other black kids, other Hispanic kids, other Native American kids couldn't do it. Stupid.
And then once you get there, that's the diversity, that you have an opportunity to come to the dance. But the inclusion and equity part is that
has the opportunity. You're not saying the opportunity. You're saying give them promotions.
Get asked to dance. You're not just there at the dance. And so it's for an aspect of the United States Air Force, the things I think about is not only having diverse, slates of candidates for some key positions, but it's also that you have to select some of those individuals into those key positions. And that's a key aspect of what I'm focused on.
I don't know how he is as far as strategizing with respect to war, but with respect to strategizing for a healthy culture, he's an idiot. He might be great when it comes to war. I don't know. But as far as strategizing culture, this guy is a clown.
As a chief of staff you can't let it just be happenstance that brings in the diversity, whether it be race, gender, ethnic background, sexual orientation, socioeconomic background. You really got to spend some time thinking about it, because you may miss an opportunity if you don't really spend some time looking at the slate of candidates and then asking some hard questions. And that's an aspect of, me as the chief of staff. When I sit down with Secretary Brett, we just had a conversation about this yesterday as we're looking at some key positions. Who are diverse candidates, and are we making sure we are grooming them so they have the opportunity?
Yeah, grooming is never a good word to use in any context. Just going to say. It's just not a good word. That word has been poisoned. So, 4-star General C.Q. Brown is no longer the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. As I said, I don't know. Maybe he's a brilliant military strategist. Could be. But that's it. With him, with the CQ Brown package built in there is just poison. Utter poison. And he's not the only one who got let go. No. There was also Lisa Franchetti, the head of the Navy. Lisa Franchetti. Here's Lisa. This is from July of 2023. It was always understood that anyone the Biden administration chose to succeed Admiral Gilday would be worse. And considering how bad Gilday was, that's really high hill to climb. This is from Front Page Mag. Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Michael Gilday announced that he wanted to change the Navy. While the title of the video of his remarks was "One Team, One Navy," its divisive message was that the Navy was racist and only conversations about race would help. Gilday shared videos of naval personnel claiming that America was racist and that they were angry. Being African American and in America is not fun, an aviation technician claimed. Lieutenant Commander claimed that he experienced systemic racism and implicit bias. A white corpsman urged that we can stand up for change and declared that tomorrow's Navy will finally stand on the right side of history when we realize that Black lives matter. I've become very aware of my privilege as a white person, a female musician confessed. Then she claimed that this country has a history of systemic racism, called for creating a country that's more equitable and just. It closed with Gilday vowing to eliminate systemic racism with a new task force. Well, now here is Admiral Lisa Franchetti, whom Biden chose as the next chief of the naval operations at a DEI event. Commander Naval Air Forces CNAF hosted the second annual CNAF Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Summit, November 1st and 2nd, 2022, Coronado, California. Quote, through this conference, we're reaffirming that all members of the naval aviation community are responsible to advocate for each other, to embrace and support differences, and to work to create an inclusive environment for each person on our team, said Franchetti. Our force is a reflection of America and the rich fabric our nation
what some of the content that's in the books. I mean, explicit, graphic, sexual content. And I'm happy to talk about some of that content if you'd like to.
Well, this is the question.
That wasn't what I wanted to have.
The books that are being banned. I want to give you just
no books are being banned.
Hold on a second.
Well, no, Joy, but I want to be clear. No one's banning books.
See,
write the book, print the book, publish the book, put the book in the public library, sell the book, right? We're talking about a public school library. Children don't have unfettered access to the internet at school.
Mm-hmm. I'm still playing my ear. It's not yours. That's... There it is. Oh my God, that was annoying. Sorry about that. We were talking about Lisa Franchetti. Franchetti wasn't even the recommended choice, but Biden decided. So wait, she said, through this conference, we're reaffirming that all members of the naval aviation community are responsible to advocate for each other, embrace and support differences, and to work to create an inclusive environment for each person on our team, said Franchetti. Our force is a reflection of America and the rich fabric our nation offers, the talent we need to deliver warfighting advantage. Today's theme of allyship is a key enabler for building inclusive teams. Franchetti wasn't even the recommended choice, but Biden decided for another historic pick over someone capable of confronting China. Who needs to beat China when we can focus on delivering a war-fighting advantage by building inclusive teams instead? Nominating the first female member of the Joint Chiefs is a historic move for a president who has prioritized diversity since the beginning of his administration. At the Pentagon alone, Biden has nominated the first Black Defense Secretary, Austin, the first female Defense Secretary, Kathleen Hicks, and the first Black officer to lead a military service. At least when we lose to China, this bunch will be able to argue it's because they're a bunch of racists. Isn't that how to explain everything? Okay, so I'll tell you this much. I'm going to be real with you all here. I did a search to see just how heavily DEI Franchetti is. There's a lot of evidence, and I'm going to be fair here in my critique. I don't want to mislead anyone here. It was a lot easier for me to find woke DEI crap on C.K. Brown's ledger than it was Lisa Franchetti's. A lot easier to find. I mean, what she said here, okay, this is definitely DEI oriented. Don't get me wrong. You know, when she says this, we deliver warfighting advantage of, you know, today's theme of allyship is key enabler of building inclusive teams. Yeah, this is something that's, the sort of thing idiots say. So it's certainly not a sterling moment on the resume of Lisa Franchetti's advocacy to retain a position as the head of our Navy. I'm simply saying, if this is all she ever did, like this one-time knockoff thing, to me, that is not really a sufficient indictment to say that she's poisoning our Navy. Because I sort of look at the culture she's in and say to myself, in this culture, I can understand that someone who has political aspirations is going to kiss the hem of whatever the leader wants them to say and repeat some of their ideology. So I do have questions about the firing of Lisa Franchetti. I had a lot of questions about it. I was like, okay, CQ Brown, you had me at like his first interview. Okay, the guy's crazy DEI. This seems to be a major nugget about what how he self-identifies, that he's about the DEI. Someone who gets up at a summit that's a DEI summit and says DEI type things at a DEI summit, to me, that's not really as strong a reflection that they're necessarily the poison that everyone's identifying them as. And frankly, I found a much better reason that she should have been let go. A much better reason, which I haven't heard anyone really talk about this so much. Frankly, it was an incident that I totally flew under my radar. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how this incident flew under my radar, but it did. This was back in 2023. Last night, the USS Gettysburg shot down one of our own F-18s. We shot down the Navy that she's in charge of, shot down one of our own F-18s. That's not good. That's not good. Instead of lethality, our military is focused on checking race, gender boxes. CNO Franchetti needs to resign immediately. DI is destroyed our military. Now that is kind of embarrassing, and they make an interesting point here that her bachelor's in journalism from Northwestern University, as opposed to like in World War II, where we had the chief of naval operations was Ernest King, and he was a graduate from the U.S. Naval Academy with a PhD in naval combat, as opposed to a master's in management from the University of Phoenix online. How? She's old. How did she get an online degree? Would she get that online degree like later in her later years? As opposed to this guy's got a PhD in naval combat. Yeah, this is not the same kind of resume. She got all the medals. She got all the colorful medals. So, yeah. I'm not sure what's happening here. So, yeah, I think it's fair to question her competence, and that's a reason to fire her. And maybe you can say that she herself is a beneficiary of DEI, that she still has a job after one of the USS Gettysburg shot down one of our own F-18s. And I actually looked into this story just to be 100% sure. Grok confirms that this incident did happen, that the Gettysburg shot down one of our own F-18s. So, because I was a little afraid, I was like, I don't remember this story very much at all. But, yeah, if you do a search on Grok about this story, they say this post references Lisa Franchetti. An incident December 22nd, 2024, with USS Gettysburg, a U.S. Navy cruiser, accidentally shot down U.S. Navy. So it wasn't 2023. It wasn't 20. It was late in 2024. So that's a reason to fire her. But I don't see much about her pushing for DEI. I don't count that. I look at that as a one-off. But I do question her competence. And I think it's fair. It's a fair thing to question. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. It's not like there's. It's not like she's operating in many theaters of war. Like, how does that even happen? You want me to talk about Bongino? I would plan on talking about Bongino. All right. Well, since we're talking about the firings, we'll talk about the hiring. Really quick, we'll talk about Bongino. Great news Donald Trump put out there. Great news for law enforcement and American justice. Dan Bongino, a man of incredible love and passion for our country, has just been named the next deputy director of the FBI by the man who will be the best ever director, Kash Patel. I agree with him. I think he will be. Dan has a master's degree in psychology from CUNY and an MBA from Penn State. He's a member of the New York Police Department, New York's finest. Highly respected special agent with the United States Secret Service. Is now one of the most successful podcasters in the country, something he's willing and prepared to give up in order to serve. Working with our great new United States Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Patel, fairness, justice, law, and order will be brought back to America and quickly. Congratulations, Dan. And I echo that. I have nothing but remarkable respect for Dan Bongino. Remarkable respect. I mean, he happens to be a very talented podcaster. The guy is he's a very entertaining and engaging individual who tackles topics with knowledge and an understanding of what law enforcement is actually all about. I jokingly put out a response to this, not this one. I think it was to Benny. Somewhere I put it out there. It was here I put it. But it is a great choice. And yeah, kudos to you, Dan. Guy has fought off cancer. He's a freaking tank. Physically and intellectually and seemingly very grounded as well. So God bless Dan Bongino and Godspeed to him. If you can't learn from people that don't look like you, you've missed the entire point. Precisely. Yep, exactly. Did you see how an IF jets buzzed Nasralla's funeral? I did see that. A lot of people were screaming and, how dare they? How dare they? Yeah. I feel bad now. Obviously, he was dropped on his head as a child. Probably so. Don't talk about someone there's more melons or less. What? That's one went over my head. Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A major. But I don't have the rim shot here. By God, if they can't spend tax money, they will waste it. Wait. We just had an aircraft carrier collide with a container ship in the Mediterranean. I'm guessing another DEI promotion. Did we really? DEI begs for that type of scrutiny. Not going to kid you. They do. They beg for the scrutiny. Well, anyhow, we should talk about a legal decision which came out this weekend, where Judge Abelson from the United States District Court for the District of Maryland decided that he has the weight, authority, and jurisdiction to try and intercede and stop Trump from getting rid of all these DEI folks. We are not going to go through this entire decision because it's 63 pages. But there are certain parts that I would like to focus on here with you. Certain parts I want to focus on while we're talking about DEI. Oh, to Richard's point, the Gettysburg is part of the carrier group that for that carrier that had the collision. That's sad. That's sad. Thank you, Goose, for sharing that. So, Judge Abelson writes, among the EOs that the president issued in the first 2 days of the administration were orders that directed all executive agencies to terminate equity-related grants or contracts. Termination provision directed all executive agencies to include in every contract or grant award a certification enforceable through the False Claims Act that the contracting grantee does not operate any programs promoting DEI that violate any applicable federal anti-discrimination laws. And directing the AG to take appropriate measures to encourage the private sector to end illegal discrimination preferences, including DEI. So Trump shrewdly referred to DEI as discrimination, because it is. The term DEI, of course, is shorthand for diversity, equity, inclusion. Ensuring diversity, equity, inclusion has long been a goal, and at least in some contexts, arguably a requirement of federal anti-discrimination law. The administration has declared DEI to be henceforth illegal, has announced it will be terminating all equity-related grants or contracts, whatever the administration might decide that means. But the challenge order is not to find the operative terms such as DEI or illegal discrimination or preferences. According to a recent case, approximately 20% of the nation's labor force works for a federal contractor. Termination provision leaves those contractors and their employees, plus any other recipients of federal grants, with no idea whether the administration will deem their contracts or grants or work they're doing or speech or engagement to be equity related. As the J21 order leaves the private sector at a loss for whether the administration will deem a particular policy program discussion announcement to be among the preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities the administration now deems illegal. Plaintiffs who have easily established their standing to bring this case. Who are plaintiffs here again? The National Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education. Okay. And the irreparable harm have shown they are likely to prove termination enforcement threat provisions are unconstitutionally vague on their face. But it's not just the vagueness that renders them unconstitutional. There's a label for government action that seeks to deter principles that the government disagrees with, restriction of expression because of its messages, ideas, its subject matter, or its content. And the most blatant, egregious form of content discrimination is viewpoint discrimination. What? The certification enforcement threat provisions squarely unconstitutionally abridge the freedom of speech. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. This is such a bad decision. This is such a ridiculously bad decision. Saying the policies they're enacting is not speech. You want to know how you know? Because they're policies that are being implemented, actions. The reason speech is free is because it's not actually an action. These are actions. That's like saying that a white guy who beats the tar out of an Asian and starts, screaming all sorts of racist epithets at that Asian, that's a form of free speech. Idiots. Stupid. This guy has the audacity to claim in this decision, which I haven't seen this, but I saw an article that referenced this, that claims that he has the unrivaled jurisdiction to implement this TRO, which is a temporary restraining order, basically saying I'm putting a whole halt to everything he ordered in that TRO, to believe that operates on a national level, which is just galling. And I think that this case is likely to be slapped down by the Supreme Court. This decision is likely to be slapped down by the Supreme Court, because this is just a blatant power grab by a judge. When a judge comes along and starts saying, I have the authority to basically overrule, that any judge has the right to overrule any EO. Any federal judge has the right to overrule any EO. And it's nice that we have a president who's issuing EOs, but I'm just overruling them one after another, and claim there's constitutional grounds like freedom of speech. Ridiculous. I don't see, you can't have a country operating like that. And I don't think the Supreme Court is going to be tolerating this very much longer. I believe that by the time this term ends, the time the spring term ends, this crap is going to be gone. That's my belief. All this crap will be gone of these judges having the authority to issue decisions on a national level that thwart executive orders on a national level. You want to thwart them to the extent that they impact your jurisdiction? That's one thing. But to sit here and think that you have the audacity to think that you can decide that that you have the power here, that there's thousands of judges who any one of them could just decide, no, I don't really like what the president did here. I'm just going to override it and make it a nullity. He's out of his freaking mind. He's out of his mind. And the interesting thing to me is we come all the way down to the end, all the way down. This really, really rambly decision that goes on and on and on. If we jump all the way down to the end, the last pages, the very last pages, he talks about the injunction bond, which is something that I was talking about last week. The bond. And what's interesting to me, it says defendants have requested that in any injunctive relief accompany a bond under Federal Rule Civil Procedure 65C. This is what I said the defendant, United States of America, should be asking for. And he claims that they weren't specific enough. Defendants have not proposed a precise amount for the bond, but note the preliminary relief would potentially mandate the executive spend money that would not be recouped once distributed. They need to cite the injunction bond rule. So it's good that they're asking for a bond, but they need to actually cite the injunction bond rule, because what this judge is doing here is really illegal. Plaintiffs oppose the request because the bond amount defendants seem to forecast they would request would be an enormous financial barrier. Oh, you can't afford it. Oh, so instead let the government burn it. And defendants point to no example of a court ordering a bond in analogous circumstances. This is another thing that the Supreme Court needs to step in on. Federal Rule of Civil Procedure states in relevant part, the court may issue a preliminary injunction or a temporary restraining order only if the movement gives security an amount that the court considers proper to pay the costs and damages sustained by any party found to have been wrongfully enjoined or restrained. Although the rule is mandatory and unambiguous. So what does this mean? Let's understand this. The court may issue a preliminary injunction or temporary restraining order only if the movement, so you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to issue an injunction unless so it means you can't do it unless the movement gives security in an amount that the court considers proper to pay the costs and damages sustained by any party found to have been wrongfully enjoined or restrained. You must do that. Although the rule is mandatory and unambiguous, meaning it's true, the federal rules of civil procedure say that's what I must do. The Fourth Circuit has acknowledged that where the circumstances warranted, the court may fix the amount of the bond accordingly, and noting that in some circumstances a nominal bond may suffice. That's not when you can tell that the damages that the defendant is going to face are not nominal. In addition, courts in other circuits have frequently waived the bond requirement case where a fundamental constitutional right is at stake. So that's why he builds in here that there's a First Amendment. It's like I'm gonna come up with some sort of retarded perspective that there's a First Amendment right that's imperiled here, and then use that as a basis to circumvent my obligations under Rule 65C of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. This is activism. This is judicial activism. This is a judge who has an axe to grind against Trump. This is not logic. It defies logic. Here, because the plaintiff seeks to protect their First and Fifth Amendment rights, and because the bond of the size the defendants appear to seek would essentially forestall. Because it's too much money. Plaintiff's access to judicial review, the court will set a nominal bond of $0 under Rule 65C, which is asinine. Asinine. So I'm going to thwart national policy that's implemented by the president, pretend I'm the president, and just cross out his EO, and then say I'm going to ignore the federal rules of civil procedure. That's what this judge did here, Adam Abelson. Unbelievable. The goal of this guy. Biden. This guy's been a judge for 10 minutes. Unbelievable. Karen, remember, for 14 months. I think Trump needs to reel Elon in a bit with job cuts. Some of those people he laying off also voted for him. It could backfire in the midterms. Could. It could. If they're necessary, hire them back. Giving people a job just that they'll vote for, just they'll vote red is not sound strategy. It's not sound strategy. Okay, Karen. Those people find the private sector, they do have emails and have accountability too. They need to be grown-ups and do their job. I agree with you, Ellie. I agree with you. They need to be grown. They need to be grown. How do you have... See, this is... I don't understand. Elephant. I don't understand. Like, you literally just became a member for a month, like last week, and now you're a member for 3 months. I think she's doing like this whole I don't know, ET type of thing in changing time or something like that, because I remember welcoming her to the following and doing the whole elephant thing like 2 weeks ago max, and I think it was last week. So I don't know what's happening here. There's definitely a time warp thing that's happening. But anyway, welcome. Joe, look at THR readiness and D-maintenance for the Navy. I don't know what that means. These are military terms that are beyond my comprehension. Sorry, I would love to do it. Family Shopping says, Joe, the military bases only spend 33% of its food budget that it took from their checks in 2024, and they don't have an accounting for the other 67% when. Pathetic. All right. Do you guys agree with me that this thing with Lisa Franchetti, there's much less evidence that she's a DEI advocate per se? There really wasn't much statement that came out with the firing. But I was just like, I don't really see her being this crazy DEI advocate. I talked briefly. I read off the thing about Dan Bongino. I read it off. I read it off. I got a bunch more things I want to share with you. A bunch more that I did not put anywhere in the anyway, this is just news from around the weekend. Like your little weekend update here. Mayor Karen Bass decided to fire her fire chief. Not at all obviously covering up for her failures, acting in the best interest of Los Angeles public safety. And for the operation of the Los Angeles Fire Department, I removed Kristen Crowley as fire chief. What? 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 Is this a DEI firing? 1,000 firefighters were sent home on Chief Crowley's watch the day the fires broke out. Chief Crowley refused to do an after-action report on the fires. These require her removal. All sounds well and good, Mayor Karen Bass. All sounds well and good, but you kind of got owned. You know where she got owned? Not by Juanita Broderick, who's pretty good in general. I like most of the stuff. No, she was owned. The best interest of LA would be you resigning. You knew of the danger and went on vacation anyway. You were cosplaying as an ambassador in Ghana while your city burned. And I actually looked into this, and yes, the fire sent this out on January 6th. Fires broke out January 7th. She's in Ghana. January 6th, she's sending out. There's an expected destructive and potentially life-threatening windstorm starting Tuesday morning through Wednesday afternoon. Red flag, no parking restrictions will go into effect in certain areas tomorrow morning. She did know the fires were coming. She knew the fires were coming, and she decided to play ambassador to Ghana. I had never seen this quote, this tweet from her, this posting from Mayor Karen Bass. But my God, how humiliating it is for her. And she shared this. Here's a little more details on the upcoming wind event. The strongest wind areas of LA and Ventura counties will see widespread northeast wind gusts of 50 to 80 miles per hour with isolated gusts up to 80 to 100 miles per hour in the mountains and foothills. So, yeah. Yeah. But she was in Ghana. Wow. Wow. Did I cover racist Donald Trump's Black HM Memorial Park? No, I don't even know what you're talking about. What? Race Black HM? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, brother. No idea. Wait, I thought the fire chief was stabbed to dead by her. I saw some. I didn't see that anywhere. No. But she'd been fired. She'd been fired. Welcome to the following. Who's handsome? Good job. Welcome aboard. I should share with you now. Just if you give me a moment. I need a moment. Yeah. We have today's sponsor of the day. The sponsor of the day. It's true. This today's sponsor. My buddy. No. Today's sponsor is My Buddy.
My buddy. Wherever I go, he goes. My buddy. I'll teach him everything that I know. My buddy and me, like the climb up a tree. My buddy and me, we're the best friends could be. My buddy and me.
My Buddy from Play School.
If you need a friend, good logic and viewer's discretion urge you to consider getting a My Buddy. For all your friend needs, try My Buddy. Available from Play School. The CDU just won elections in Germany. Congratulations to you, Karen. That's right. The Conservative Party in Germany has won their election. They still twist themselves into press after J.D. Vance's speech, we never learn. Yeah. Well, at least you're voting correctly. No, not Kid's sister, just my buddy. Just my buddy. If Kid's sister wants to sponsor this show, that's fine. We covered this already. Catch up. We covered this. Escape this. I gotta get this off my screen. All right. Got my buddy. What else did I have here for you? Maybe we'll save that for later. We'll see. If you all behave well, I have something funny to share with you later. If you behave, okay? That's what my parents used to do. I'll share with you my childhood, okay? Because what people call a Gen Xer, not that I am, because Gen X came after me. But my parents were both teachers, okay? I grew up with two teachers. My father taught in public school, my mother taught in private school. They were both historians and teachers. That meant they had summers off. It also meant we didn't grow up with a lot of money. We grew up with enough, and that's all that we needed. But we didn't grow up anything like wealthy. Summers, they couldn't afford to send me to camp. Instead, we would take a 2-week drive, vacation, and see America. This was my introduction to learning about America. My parents, both historians, and the reason they became historians is because they were fascinated by history, which means that when they would take us on their trips, whether we're driving up north or driving south, every year would be a different direction. Whatever direction we were going, you knew that we were going to find some restoration villages, some forts, maybe some house that had been restored. There was just going to be one historical thing or a museum or just something that no 8-year-old wants to be at every day. That's just what they would do. And in order to entice us to behave, because I had an older brother and an older sister, so in order to entice us to behave and not go out of our minds and drive them bananas, they would continually tell us every day, if you behave and you're good for the next 3 days, then on day 4, we're going to go to this amusement park. So one year it was King's Dominion, another, we went to different parks. So in a 2-week trip, we would get 1 day, sometimes 2 days, very rarely. I think once that happened that we went to 2 different amusement parks. But yeah, so we went, but we went most of the time. It was we're going to Monticello, or we're going to Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg, or we're going to these restoration houses, or, some inventor or writer or author's house that's been restored. Yeah, that's how you raise kids who have unusual perspectives on the world. That's how you raise a podcaster right there. That's how you do it. Anyway, so, but I learned from them. What I learned from them is that you sort of hold the sweets for the end of the ride. You hold the dessert for the end of the ride, and you tell people, if you behave, then that's coming. That's coming. It's coming. Right now is the work part. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. Okay. We'll see. All right. What else is happening around the world? I'll share with you things from around the world. While you guys make you guys earn your comedy. All right. John Brennan, former CIA director. This is a guy who's been freaking out ever since Cash got confirmed. John Brennan, former CIA director. What a corrupt man.
And what I'm concerned is right now, with all of these individuals that Musk and Doge have sent into our government institutions and having access to those systems and networks and databases, this is something that is ripe for exploitation by the Russians and the Chinese.
This jackass has been screaming about the Russians and the Chinese for like decades. Everything is the Russians and the Chinese. Hunter Biden's laptop is the Russian. He was one of the 51. He was like the guy who basically jump-started it. He was the main name. He's the only name anyone recognized on that list of the 51 people who identified the Hunter laptop as being likely Russian disinformation. So now he's telling us about this is just an opening for the Russians and the Chinese.
In terms of intelligence, these are individuals who haven't been vetted. They don't have the security clearances.
How do you know? How the hell? You have no security clearance. How the hell do you know who's been vetted?
Background. And so
you have no clue. You're talking out of your ass. You're literally talking. You have no way of knowing this. He has no more access to this information than you have or I have. None of us. I don't know. It could be true. He's totally speculating, and it's completely talking out of his ass, but he's saying it as if this is a definitive fact. Former CIA director comes out and says they have no security clearances. How do you know? How can you possibly know that? You have no security clearance.
So they're now accessing all this information that involves U.S. citizens, sensitive U.S. databases.
You definitely don't know that. You definitely don't know that.
And other things. And if the Bureau is going through these dislocations.
Look how convincingly he says it. Like this is, he's dropping facts here. He's got facts to drop on you. He has no clue. Zero clue.
Its mission is being destroyed.
This is fear porn. This is what this guy was meant to do. He's such a good actor, though. I'm very impressed. Look at the delivery. Look at how compelling. Like he seems genuine. Like if you didn't know about it, you'd be like, wow, this is a person who knows and he's genuinely concerned for the welfare of America's security.
Disrupted. And like Frank, I am very concerned about the politicization of the leadership of the Bureau.
Politicization of the leadership? You were Mr. Politicized.
Kash Patel. I'm on Kash Patel's enemy list.
Yes. Rightfully so. That's where you squarely belong. This is why he's upset. This is why he's bothered.
His book. And so between Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and others, is the Bureau, is the Department of Justice going to uphold its tradition of making sure that they carry out their responsibilities with integrity?
Integrity. Was he part of the team that weaponized the IRS?
And in an apolitical fashion. And I think there are serious questions, including among the people within DOJ and FBI right now, about whether or not their leadership is going to bring them down this very dark place where it's unprecedented in American history.
As Obama said, the 1980s are calling. They want their foreign policy back. Yep. Russia. A bad episode of the Brady Bunch. You sent the link. Trump announced National Park of Heroes. He talked about this during his first administration. That's what you meant. Let me see what you got from me here.
The last
He talked about a National Park of Heroes in 2020.
administration tried to reduce all of American history to a single year, 1619. But under our administration, we honor the indispensable role Black Americans have always played in the immortal cause of another date, 1776. We like 1776. In the very first skirmish of the Revolutionary War at Lexington Green, an enslaved Black man named Prince Estabrook, you know Prince Estabrook? Yeah. Answered history's call and fought as the Minutemen alongside the other patriots of the very small Massachusetts town. Couldn't protect itself, but they did a good job. Prince was wounded in the early morning battle, becoming not only the first African-American soldier to fight in the Revolution, but among the very first Americans to spill their blood. One of the first in the nation to spill blood in that very, very tough time. Soon Estabrook joined the Continental Army and ultimately won his own freedom along with that of his fellow Americans. His legacy will endure, and we're very proud to honor him today. It's a very important day in our country, and we honor him. First person to spill blood happened to be Tim Estabrook. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we will be including the statue of Prince Estabrook in our new National Garden of American Heroes. We're going to be doing a Garden of American Heroes. And now that I think of it, I must tell you, sadly, most of them, I guess all of them are not with us any longer. I was going to put Tiger in the garden, but maybe you don't want to be there. I maybe should wait a little bit, huh? Like about 50, I think I'm going to wait about 50 years, all right? But Tiger's going to make it, okay? But I'm a little afraid to tell him yes, because he'd be the only one that's living. I don't know, Tiger. Tiger's rejecting that offer, right? Under the executive order I signed last month, this new beautiful outdoor statue park. It's going to be a statue park. It's going to be unbelievable. We're picking the final sites now. It's between various states that want it very badly. We'll honor hundreds of our greatest Americans to ever live, including countless Black Americans, icons. The garden will predominantly feature incredible women like Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Billie Holiday, Aretha Franklin, and Coretta Scott King. And I will showcase it will be something very extraordinary. It's going to be producing, we're going to produce some of the most beautiful works of art in the form of a statue from men like Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, Jackie Robinson, what a great athlete that was. Martin Luther King Jr., Muhammad Ali, he was not a bad athlete. What do you think, Muhammad? Not too bad. And the late Kobe Bryant. People love Kobe Bryant. And we're going to save Tiger Woods for another time. That's all that I can. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you something. All those athletes he mentioned, and not just the athletes, the truth is every person whose history I'm familiar with, who he referenced there, which frankly is a pretty lengthy list, they all share one common characteristic, which is just an unyielding determination. Unyielding determination. What are you talking about? Muhammad Ali to Harriet Tubman. It's just an unyielding determination to, get what, to accomplish, to get, to meet their objective. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a really great idea. All right. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing, brother. Appreciate that. Made by Chinky. Made by Chinky. Became a member of the following. Welcome to the following. Made by Chinky. The following. I don't recognize your name, and I apologize if that's my oversight. It's possible you're new. It's possible this is your first time here or one of your first times here. So I'm going to tell you made by Chinky. First and foremost, I'm going to give you, since I don't recognize your name, I'm going to give you a little horn here, a little horn blast, and welcome to the following. And I'm going to make you aware of two things. First of all, the following is not at all a cult type of cult, and I am not the leader of the following. The following is just a group of like-minded individuals who are seeking greater personal growth through community unity and leadership training. So welcome to the following. I'm not the leader of the following. Start calling ring ring. Bongino studied economics in college and wrote the book Follow the Money. He'll be awesome at the FBI. Dying to find out whose pockets this fraud ended in. This is gonna be we're in this for some great times. Some great times, Richard. Can you check my question on pre-show question poll? Your question. I saw you sent me a DM. Is this? I don't see your question. I don't see. Let me scroll up. Let me send this. I'll come back to it in a second. Yes, American heroes, all types. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let me see if I can find her thing here. Sent it at 2:20. Kiki. Pre-show question. Where are you, Kiki? It'll be easier if you send this to me by DM. I'm struggling to find what you're asking. Kiki. Janelle Arella, same childhood, Monticello, Civil War battlefields, Dachau. Oh, you see, you went to Europe. You went to Europe. You had your parents were rich compared to mine. Eagles Nest, bomb castles, even lived in Fort Sill Old Post Quad National Historic Building. Yeah. I know your pain. Trust me, if you're like a kid, this is not fun stuff. This is just like, oh my God. The worst, the absolute worst. I don't know what my parents were thinking. We didn't go to Canada often. I'm pretty sure we didn't go there after I turned. I'm positive we didn't go there after I turned 12. I'm positive of that. It's probably somewhere between 10 and 12 was the last time that we went to Canada as a family. We went to Nova Scotia. And whenever we went to Nova Scotia, it rained. And I remember going to Canada a couple of times through my childhood. Nova Scotia always rained. And there's this drive, which apparently is a big giant loop, which is like, I don't know, 100, 200 miles long. And we spent all day driving this thing, looking at trees. That you're supposed to go on this drive for the purpose of looking at trees. I'm sure some Canadians watching this show, one or two of you, have to know what I'm referring to here. It's literally a big giant loop, from what I understand, from what my parents told me. And all I remember from that day, is sitting. I was stuck in the middle the entire time, just the entire day, with like someone kicking me at all times. All I remember is like my mother, like in the back seat, just yelling that we were making her nuts. And I was just like, Why would you think that any other result was going to happen when you put us in a car for 6 hours for the purpose of being in a car? And it's like the entire day, it was like, look at the trees, look at the trees, look at the damn trees. Oh my God, please. And I'm sitting in the middle. I can't even see the freaking trees. Not that I understand why I'm looking at a tree. It's a tree. It's got branches. It's got leaves. It's a tree. I never understood anything about this. And I'm thinking about this now. I never really. I have such horrible flashbacks to this day of my life. I can't even tell you. Horrible flashbacks. I mean, all day, just look at the trees. It's literally telling a kid to watch grass grow. Like, what kid wants that? No kid wants that. None. So, my mother, rest her soul. I mean, I feel terrible that I aggravated her so much, but this was just not a good plan. As plans go, this is a rotten plan. This is a terrible, terrible plan. I don't know what you're thinking. I mean, come on. Don't do that to a kid. I'm telling you now, if you have a kid, any kid, anyone who's not an adult doesn't want to be sitting there looking at trees. They don't, okay? They don't. Don't do that to your kid. Don't. Because I'll tell you now, this comes up sometimes when I'm to this day, it happened last week at some point. I'm driving with Lady Lawgic and my youngest, and she's like, wow, look at that sky. It's so beautiful. And I don't want to look at scenery. I have a thing. I don't want to look at scenery. And I never really thought about why that was. And now that I'm actually thinking through to my childhood, I think I might be having like a breakthrough moment here, that maybe this is it. Maybe this is the secret. It was that day that like, no, scenery died for me that day. That no, I don't want to be looking at scenery, especially if I'm sitting in the middle. I mean, no one wants to sit in the middle. This is very cathartic. It's very therapeutic. I appreciate you sticking through this with me, because I need to get this off my chest. I'm all of a sudden having all these different flashbacks to my child. This is crazy. This is like Doc, this is a serious breakthrough we're having here today. Oh my God. Why would you do that to a kid? And they loved me. I know they loved me. I mean, I'm sure they loved me. It was very evident. I mean, like a million different ways that they really loved me. That was just not a good manifestation of that. No, it wasn't. That was just not a good call. So yeah, even now, whenever Lady Lawgic is like saying like, wow, look at that sun, look at that sky, I'm just like, yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's that trauma. That's what it is. That's what I'm going to chalk it up to for sure. I'm definitely going to blame it from now on. It may or may not be true, but it's definitely a very convenient thing for me to latch back onto and say, hey, look, what do you want from me? I had trauma as a child. I had trauma. If you were sitting in the back of that Buick, trust me, you would be traumatized too. So 7 hours of that. He needs to add Walter E. Williams to this national park too. All right, I'm still gonna ring. I wouldn't have been the first thing on my list. You remember for 16 months. I'm gonna give you I gave you the war horn. Been a follower since AH versus JD, dear leader from PH. Wow. Well, thank you for joining. I apologize that I missed you. All the way since Amber Heard. That's pretty cool. We need a sacrificial goat out here for the new. But she says she's been around since Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp. I'll be honest. That's a really good breakthrough. I got some more news stories I wanted to cover with you all. Let's shrink this out. I got a whole bunch of stories. No, I don't want to talk about that. do this. There's also to talk about how Trump wants the money back from Ukraine. And Zelensky's like, no, that was a gift. That was a gift. That's out. You can't, there's no backsies, you Indian giver. You Indian giver. This. And people found this clip, Lips of TikTok, one of the people who's posting this out there.
If you can't give...
Look, everyone's saying, oh, no, it was a gift. We can't get that money back. EU get their money back. America can't get their money back. This was Zelensky years ago.
If you can't give us some financial support, okay, please, give us a credit, and we will give you back money.
Oh, we will give you back money. Oh, so where's our money? We want our money. Give us back money. Give us back our money. No, trauma. That we never went camping. We never went camping. No, camping was not a thing. Camping was not a thing. Don't ask me to make a knot. No, it's not going to be good. The only thing I'll know is from like something I saw on YouTube and never remember 30 seconds after I watch it. But I'm like, wow, that's a cool way to carry a flower pot with a big giant rope. They sort of loop it, and then you got to loop it and then put the sides out there, and you could tie the ends like that. And the next thing you know, it builds into a handle, and it doesn't even cut into your fingers. I'm like, wow, that's the coolest thing. I can't wait to do that. And 12 seconds later, I can't remember how to make those stupid knots. Yeah. Listen, my YouTube shorts are lined with all these handy dandy tricks. One of the handy dandy tricks I learned, which I tried doing, and this was an utter fail. An utter fail was that if you're pouring from a full glass into another glass, and you take a spoon and you put a spoon over the end of it, and the spoon ends up working as a funnel and ends up coming. I tried that like 2 weeks ago. Utter fail. It doesn't work. I don't know what. I was just like, that didn't happen the way it was supposed to. I know that that was supposed to do, and that was not it. Once pulled over at the side of a PA interstate and told my daughter and son that they didn't stop fighting, I make them walk home to Detroit. My parents never did that. My in-laws did that to Lady Lawgic and her kids. You know, my parents didn't give the idle threats. I didn't get the idle threats. We didn't get those. You know, it was like, but yeah. I know some kids who heard stuff like, if you don't eat that, I'm never making dinner for you ever again. That's something like I never did that once in my life to my kids. I never gave a threat that I was not fully prepared to carry through. That's you have to have the self, and sometimes you feel emotional. You feel like saying something like that, but it's like, no, you have to, if you're just undercutting the power of your own words, which just leads to you being necessitating to screaming even more. So that's why you have to be very careful when you issue a threat. When you issue a threat, to make sure it's something you're actually gonna like carry out. When I was 6, once we're doing the breakthroughs here. When I was 6, I was really, really mad at my parents. I don't remember what they had said, or maybe I think they had laughed at me or something, and I was very, very bothered. So I packed my stuff and said, I'm leaving. I literally packed my clothing into a suitcase and left. But I wasn't allowed to cross the street, so I was going like around the block because I wasn't allowed to cross the street. So I was going like around the block, and I made it to like the opposite corner from our house, and I was like, "This isn't good." So I guess my threat to leave was a pretty idle threat, but I hadn't really figured that out yet when I was 6. Anyway. I told my sister on a family car trip once that if she didn't hold her breath, ghosts would fly up her nose. So she held her breath while I drove past the cemetery. That was about a mile. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm so sorry for that. I'm so sorry for that. As my people would say, Rafua Shalema, which means you should have a complete health. I'm sorry for that. All right. Let's get back into let's get back into some other stories that I had to cover for you tonight, which are not listed in here. A few more stories here. I got Dan Bongino, got that. Oh, okay. So the last thing I had here. This, what time is it left? 1:55. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Callie Means. He's a health activist, health food activist. That he had an interview where he had a debate on CNN last week where he was standing up for RFK and he was just destroying this doctor. I think it's Dr. Paul Offit. Paul Offit. And I wanted to share some clips of that with you because it's something that I think everyone should see. So if you'll indulge me, just things happening in the world that you may have missed. This is something you may have missed. A bunch of clips here of this little debate thing. As we try to make America healthy again. That's not it. It's Callie Means. Pretty based.
Trust in public health. No, it's the public health leaders themselves. It's people defending with the record that's happening to health at HHS why cuts are bad. Of course we should make cuts. Of course the personnel should be changed. What's causing distrust in public health authorities is conflict of interest, like Dr. Offit taking millions of dollars from pharmaceutical makers like Merck while...
That's Dr. Offit. He's attacking the guy that he took millions of dollars worth of.
Like Dr. Offit taking millions of dollars from pharmaceutical makers like Merck while approving and recommending pharmaceuticals on ACIP committees. It's the fact that Dr. Offit's saying that science is always settled when he himself has approved vaccines that have been recalled for causing organ failure for kids. And it's the fact that Dr. Offit is talking about measles, which is important. And I want to be clear, Hamill, I don't want to get this out. It's important, but there were
no medical advice on this show. I'm not giving medical advice. He's not giving medical advice. There's no medical advice. You need to talk to your doctor about measles and any other illness thing as far as how to stay safe and keep yourself safe.
300 deaths from measles a year before the invention of the vaccine. We have 38% of children right now having prediabetes. Bobby is focused on that. He's focused on reorganizing the department. And that's what we should be talking about, not this distraction. Trust in public health. No,
So that was actually pretty cool watching him take him down. But there's more. There's more. This back and forth was really pretty fire. Pretty fire.
You made a lot of claims there. I want you to respond to that. And we should note you are a member of the FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee, and you recently told CNN that RFK Jr. will hurt America's vaccine infrastructure. So please respond to that and tell us what you mean by
I hope we can disclose his millions of dollars of pharmaceutical payments while serving in that committee.
Okay, Dr. Offit, please go ahead and respond.
Well, first of all, you're not allowed to serve on the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee if you have a relationship with a pharmaceutical company. And so because I don't have a relationship with a pharmaceutical company, I'm able to serve on that committee. Secondly, and most importantly, actually, the things that Callie talks about, I actually agree with in some ways. I think that we are, for example, more obese as a country than we should be, and that the consequences of obesity like hypertension and type 2 diabetes, I think we do have, in many ways, more chronic illnesses. I think we over-medicate our children. I think there's many things we can do better. I actually wrote a book called Overkill When Modern Medicine Goes Too Far. So I agree with all that. What I don't agree with is that in any way, vaccines are harmful, as RFK Jr. says. I mean, RFK Jr. continues to claim that vaccines cause autism when they don't. He's now made childhood vaccines a major target of this. And that's only going to be to the detriment of children.
Hold on, no, Callie, I have to let Dr. Offit speak. This has to be a civil, respectful conversation in order.
He's being civil and respectful. He's just saying he's providing misinformation about what RFK believes.
For this to work and for Americans, viewers to soak this up. So I want to let Dr. Offit finish, and then I'll go to you, Callie, I promise. Go ahead, Dr. Offit.
So let's go further here. So means later question, is it appropriate for a member of Government Advisory Committee ASIP to have a $1.5 million salary paid by Merck and receive millions in pharma royalties while he's issuing guidance on products those companies make? I often want to say he doesn't know what the cause of autism is. See, he skips here, and here's where he says that. He holds a research chair, so he doesn't get paid. See, when he's saying I don't get paid, it's because it's called a research chair, so it's for doing research, but it's not considered salary. So they don't call it salary, and that way he's able to collect the money while still serving on these advisory boards.
He talked about childhood vaccines, number one. He talked about electromagnetic radiation, number two. He talked about pesticides. He didn't talk about the things that Callie's talking about here, which is things like obesity or over-medicating children or sugar drinks. I'm all for that. I agree with that. But you can have both.
He gave a powerful speech about these issues. This is what Bobby Kenney's fighting against, Dr. Offit. As you know, you were the chair at the Children's Hospital, the Merck chair. It was like a NASCAR driver wearing their sponsors. Merck paid your $1.5 million salary. And this is what Bobby's saying, is that fundamentally, pharma can create good innovations, but they're foundationally incentivized for children to be sick. Pharma doesn't make money when children are healthy. The hospitals don't make money when the beds are empty. Chronic disease, just as a demonstrable statement of economic fact, is a great economic invention for the healthcare industry, which demonstrably makes money when patients are sick. And that's an incentive Bobby Kennedy is going hard after. I'm in Florida. I'm in a state senator's office right now. I'm actually lobbying for these state SNAP bills, which Bobby is really supporting, to get soda off of SNAP. I think the problem is that the public health community, the Merck shares of pediatricians, I mean, that is just insane. Merck does not have children's interests at heart. Merck itself has settled billions of dollars in criminal penalties for misleading and falsifying data in the past 10 years. And
by the way, I should, for transparency, you used to be a pharmaceutical rep, right, Callie?
No. I was about 13 years ago was a lobbyist, which included.
So
the
you
food
were a
and pharma
lobbyist
industry,
for
and my wife is
pharmaceuticals.
dedicated to
Okay.
calling that out.
Right. But really quick, we do have to go. But Dr. Offit, I have to have you respond to his claims about Merck and your ties.
Sure. What he does is what RFK Jr. does, which is what all personal injury lawyer types do, which is when the data aren't on their side, then they attack the person. I'm not Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Hold on, Callie. Let him talk.
Merck
Callie, please.
I don't receive okay. I do not have a conflict of interest. The Merck chair is defined by Penn, and Penn, there is no quid pro quo to having an endowed chair. As anybody who receives an endowed chair would know. Secondly, it's like because there aren't the data on their side regarding vaccines, they do what all personal injury lawyer types do, which is attack the witness. I'm not RFK Jr.'s problem. The science that has continually shown he's wrong about vaccines.
Okay.
That's the problem.
All right. Thank you both for coming on. Again, okay, Callie, I let you say your piece. Dr. Offit, I let you also respond. And I appreciate you coming on for this.
They see how they lowered his mic as if like they did by the debate speech. Like they lowered his mic to try and mute him down.
Spirited discussion, shall we say? Thank you for joining us. We'll be.
Oh, that was a really great exchange there. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. And again, I am not. I know nothing about science, and I certainly would not recommend. I certainly strongly recommend. YouTube wants me to tell you that you need to talk to your doctor about what you need to do in order to stay safe, and I am doing that. I am telling you, you need to talk to your doctor. Don't listen to something you see on the internet, some debates, some whatever. That's all for interest and whatever. But as far as actually addressing your medical and health needs, please make sure you talk to your doctor. YouTube wants me to tell you that, and I am. So there you go. Not Eminem's mom says, when I was in the 3rd grade, I packed to run away. Mom made me use a trash bag. We lived on Island, so I got as far as the board. Yeah, it's not always easy to plan ahead when you're a kid. Kids are not great about planning ahead. Kids are not great at planning ahead. Yeah. I'm doing a little roundup here. The plane is starting to come down. Just telling you all now. Plane is starting to come down. I'm doing a little circle round, make sure I didn't miss stuff. Bill Dozer says, but your parents didn't teach her story, Joe. Bigots? You know, a nephew of mine once told me he heard a song called History is Now Her Story. And it was like focused, it was a song which was like a comedic song that was focused on women in history and like going through history, but it was funny. Like it was like, you know, it was just like mention someone and then like in 2 seconds, like what they did. You know, Amelia Earhart lost. Something like that. But he didn't know the name of it, and I've never been able to find it. If one of you are able to find that song for me, that'd be so cool if I could find it. I would love to see it. I know it's not flattering. I know. It's not. What do you want? What do you want, Neuro? What do you want, Neuro? What do you want? What do you want? Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. We're all trying to survive. We're all trying to survive. All right. I even checked the diggers. I checked the diggers. I've checked everywhere. I think I'm good. It's time for me to land my plane. God willing, I'm hoping to be here at 10 o'clock sharp tomorrow. And you know, one thing about me, one thing I'm very proud of is that if I set a time, you can set your clock to it. It's just like, oh, boom. All right. You can set your clock to it. So God willing, 10 p.m. While you're here, if you could please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I'm bleeding subs because I just am. So I thank you for joining me. I hope to be back here, God willing, tomorrow evening. Until then, you know what they say. Lab meat is for they, them. Oh, my God. 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 I just remembered. I'll save it for tomorrow. I'll save it for tomorrow. Yeah, we gotta save this one for tomorrow. I had a whole lab meat thing. We'll save it for tomorrow. I'm gonna find it. Yeah, but it is for they, them. It's not for you. And yeah, you know what they say. Don't eat the bugs. Do not eat the bugs. Don't eat them. Don't do it. Good night, my friends, and Godspeed.